Everybody, welcome to the Jim Master Show live entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series. Got an amazing guest joining us from Mississippi. Keith Thibodeaux is here, special guest. Of course, he played Little Ricky on I Love Lucy, but he was also Johnny on Andy Griffith. Yeah, and matter of fact, he's going to be heading to an Andy Griffith festival coming up soon. He's literally packing his bags. He's on the heels of that. He's joining us as well, and the wonderful Carolyn Peterson is joining us too as a special guest. She is the founder and owner of something very special in California called Night of Dreams. We're going to talk about that. And that's a wonderful opportunity to meet some of your favorite iconic stars that you grew up with and remember from television. She's worked with Starsky and Hutch. She's done a family reunion, which she's going to be doing soon. She's working on one, of course, now with some of your favorite stars. We're going to talk about that. Just a little tease, of course. But our wonderful friend Keith is joining us here from Mississippi, and we're so excited to have him here. Of course, I Love Lucy. Everybody knows about I Love Lucy. As a matter of fact, just to let you know, Lucy Arnaz, our dear friend who's been here several times, she's going to be a guest on our show this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. So join us for that as well. But of course, I Love Lucy, iconic series. Everybody loves I Love Lucy. And our special guest, Keith, was, yes, Little Ricky. Now, it's really amazing because, and it's still the case today, everybody still thinks that Keith is Desi Arnaz Jr., Desi Arnaz Jr. is Little Ricky, and it's just always been that way. There is similarity, you know, in the eyes and the look. I mean, Keith does look like Desi Arnaz. There is a similarity. He could have easily been a part of the family. One of the most beloved, iconic series of our time, everybody loving I Love Lucy and all of the incredible episodes. I'm sure you have your favorites. There is Keith. Keith is also not only, you know, brilliant actor who's been doing this since the age of 5, but he is an accomplished musician. He's an extraordinary drummer as well. And as much as we know him from I Love Lucy and the Andy Griffith Show, those two iconic, beloved series that you can never have enough of, right? He's also an extraordinary performer and musician. And we're going to talk about that as well. And we're going to talk about the event coming up in California with Night of Dreams. I Love Lucy, again, something very, very special, near and dear to all of us. One of the most beloved series around the world. It's never been off television since it was on in the 1950s. Keith, also known as Richard Keith, American actor, musician, best known for playing Little Ricky on the television shows I Love Lucy, and of course the Desi Comedy Hour too. He was billed as Richard Keith because his Cajun French last name, Thibodeaux, was considered too difficult to pronounce by Desi Arnaz. And Keith is the last living regular appearing cast member from the iconic series. Did you know that? Yeah. And he's had, you know, obviously a wonderful friendship with Lucy Arnaz and Desi Jr. And of course, he's had an opportunity to work with Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, I mean, Vivian Vance, William Frawley, Andy Griffith, Ron Howard. So many extraordinary people who've really made television what it is. He was skilled on the drums and still is doing this for a long time. He made $500 at a young age, which would be like almost $6,000 today. He did that at the age of 3 while touring with the Horace Heidt Orchestra, and his father took him to audition for the little part of Little Ricky, which turned into a big part back in 1955. He walked on the set. There was Lucy, and she was standing there and looked at him and said, well, okay, he's cute, but what does he do? And the rest is history. Of course, in addition to that, he appeared on an episode of The Lucy Show titled Lucy is a Process Server. And as I mentioned, too, the Andy Griffith Show from 62 to 66, he was Opie's friend, Johnny Paul Jason, which was really something special as well. He joined the rock group in 1969, David and the Giants, which is something that he still loves today. And in addition to that group gang and, phenomenal performances, terrific sound, there's something else special. He and his lovely wife, Kathy, they have founded this, and this is something that is wonderful. Ballet Magnificat, and this is extraordinary. We're going to talk about this as well. And there is his lovely wife, Kathy, the founder, and Keith is on the board of directors with Kathy. It's a very special organization. There is Keith with Ronnie Howard when they were on, of course, the Andy Griffith show. So much to talk about. And again, a very special event that is coming up in California that we're very excited about, that we want to share. And this is part of what we're doing here on the Jim Masters Show. And we're going to have Keith back, to really dive into his career even more. This is a very special event that's coming up in California. You see it on your screen. It's the Kids of Desi Studios, presented by Night of Dreams, Tina Cole, Larry Matthews, Stanley Livingston, who's a great friend of our show. Stanley's been here several times. Larry Matthews has been here. Tina Cole has been here. Matter of fact, Tina is going to be with us tomorrow. Stanley Livingston is going to be with us tomorrow, as well as Larry Matthews, Stanley Livingston, and Tina, my three sons, and Larry Matthews, the Dick Van Dyke Show. And John Provost is going to join us for the first time. Of course, he starred in Lassie. They're all going to be together with Keith and Carolyn at Night of Dreams. And that's coming up on September 8th, which is something very, very special. You see it on the screen. Eventbrite.com is how you can do it and how you can get it. But again, really something special when you remember that cute kid who stole the hearts of America on I Love Lucy and so much more. We're going to welcome Keith and Carolyn. Keith is in Mississippi. Carolyn is in California. And we are so excited to have them both here. For first, let's welcome Keith to the show. Keith Thibodeaux, welcome, my friend.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Fantastic, fantastic.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Jim.
It's a real honor and pleasure to have you here, my friend. And originally from Louisiana, but you're there in comfy Mississippi right now, huh?
Oh yeah, it's warm and humid, but that's Mississippi, and it's getting ready to be very hot for this summer. Yes.
You're on the heels of heading out to an event with the Andy Griffith team, right? Andy Griffith Festival up in Indiana.
Yeah, I was just going at a breakneck speed today, trying to get all my drums together for the show, and I'm playing with David and the Giants. We're doing a special concert there, and then I'm also making a special appearance with one of the cast from the Andy Griffith show, Dennis Rush, who's a great guy, and he was one of our buddies on the show, and so we'll have an interview with him at one of the theaters there with a moderator or an interviewer, and so we're excited to meet all the fans.
That's going to be absolutely amazing. And again, to play the music and see the fans, it really is something special. And somebody that is sort of celebrating all this too is our other fabulous guest, Carolyn Peterson, joining us here from California. Carolyn, welcome to the Jim Masters Show.
Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. And so you've been working on this event, which is kind of exciting, called it's the Kids of Desi Studios, part of Night of Dreams, your company that you founded and that you own. Tell us about this really exciting event and an opportunity for people to meet some of their favorite stars from these iconic shows.
Yeah, it's a lot different than the autograph shows that most people are so used to, they're fine, but you're pretty much rushed along in a crowd, and you get a few seconds to say hello and shake a hand, get a photograph, and then you're kind of hustled along. So I thought, God, there's just got to be a better way to do this. So I created these events, and what a fan will experience when they come is when they first come in. Well, first of all, it's pretty elegant. You're semi-formal, business casual. You come in and you get your photo taken with all of the special guests, and you go and get ushered into the ballroom for cocktails where you get lots of time to mix and mingle. We don't really put a time limit on that because we want to make sure everyone gets a chance to have a good conversation with with the guests. And then you sit down to dinner, and we will have music. We'll be showing clips of the different shows. We're going to have a very special event because on the show, Keith, as Little Ricky, he was in an episode called Little Ricky Gets Stage Fright. And he then performed Has Anybody Seen My Gal? Right? So we're going to have him recreate that. We will have a keyboardist, and we will have this amazing vocalist sing along with him. So we'll have this little combo band. So you're also going to get a mini concert and a Q&A. So it's a really nice long, about 5 hours long evening in this beautiful resort that Desi Arnaz designed and built in the 1950s. So
that's Indian Wells, right?
Indian Wells, yes.
Now, is that the same? That's the same area where the tennis tournament is too, right? That same sort of, yeah.
No,
it is. I think it is. Yeah, Indian Wells, California.
Yes.
It's a beautiful spot there, right? So that's so apropos to have it there in that location.
Yeah, and the history behind it with Desi. So now we kind of have their spirit here with us too. So
their spirit is here all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You, Carolyn, you grew up in New York on Long Island, and then where I'm from as well. And then you moved out to California. When did you move out west? And when did you create Night of Dreams?
I had moved out in 1986. And I actually immediately got a job at CAA, Creative Artists Agency, back when Michael Ovitz was still there. And that kind of gave me the bug for the entertainment business.
Yeah.
So at some point, fast forward a few years, I met Paul Michael Glazer and worked with him for a while, and then met his David Soul's assistant. And we kind of concocted this idea of doing something a little more intimate for the fans. And that's how Night of Dreams, that was kind of the seed, so to speak, to create Night of Dreams. So after we did several Starsky and Hutch events, Laura went her way, I went my way, and I created this so that I could incorporate other fan groups like Family, like Chips. I've done a karaoke night with Mickey Dolenz. It's really whatever you dream, we can do it. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. That is great. And we're going to talk more about that coming up. I love how you're bringing people together. I think that's wonderful. Yeah. Keith, you've had this opportunity to be affiliated with these iconic shows for so many years. And now as you look back, later on, you're like, it's really amazing how people still have this thirst and hunger for all of this classic television. What was the early opportunity for you to be introduced to Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball, the team at Desilu, to have an opportunity to be on I Love Lucy?
Well, as you said, I was a professional drummer when I was like 3 years old on the Horace Heidt show, touring the nation in Canada, doing one-night stands. And a friend of my dad, once the Horace Heidt Orchestra show was on hiatus in LA, he had a place in the valley, a ranch that was in Sherman Oaks. And we stayed there, and a friend of my dad, who he connected with, had heard about this audition for the I Love Lucy show. They were looking for somebody to replace the twins that had played the infant Little Ricky. And so they were looking to expand the part and, create more storylines around the character and the family of Ricardo's. And so, as you said, I went on the set, and got there, and there were about 200 kids that had tried out previously, and they got to me, and Lucy said, well, he's cute, but what does he do? You have to do something. So my dad said, well, there's a set of drums over there, let him go over there and play. So I went over there and started playing the set, and all the tech guys from around on the stage came by and was listening to this little kid banging on the drums. And then Sheldon Leonard, the big producer, who produced the Danny Thomas show.
Yo, sure.
He produced, all the Andy Griffith, all those.
Dick
he
Van
came over.
Dyke and
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke. So, and then finally Desi came over and stood around me and decided he would jam with me on the drums. And so after a while of playing with this little kid, he stood up and laughed and said, I think we found little Ricky. So I signed to a 7-year contract with the studio. Desi changed my name from Keith Thibodeaux to Richard Keith. And and of course my part was Little Ricky. So it was an amazing show, amazing opportunity to be able to showcase, the drums, which I love, and also to sing and dance with people like Maurice Chevalier, and it was just literally a trip, and it seems like so many years ago. And I know you're having Lucy Arnaz, so you need to tell her hi for me and give her my
I
love.
sure will.
And
Absolutely.
so, I was part of their family, and Lucy included me and introduced me immediately to her kids, Lucy Jr. and Desi Jr., of whom I'm always mistaken for Desi, or he's mistaken for Little Ricky, one or the other. And so that's a picture of us doing. We had a band, Little Ricky's Dixieland Band, which we actually featured on a Dinah Shore episode.
That's right.
And it was really a cool number. We had a great little band, and
you do look like you could be related. I mean, when you look at your eyes and you look at Desi Sr. and Desi Jr., you look like you could definitely be related and part of the family. The casting and your ability to play drums, plus you had the cuteness factor, everybody would say was 10 plus. So, I mean, all of the elements for you to be Little Ricky Ricardo was perfect. It was perfect casting.
Yeah, it was amazing. And that show, perfect casting. You could go on with William Frawley, Vivian Vance, the character actors that were part of the show. I mean, they had classic. They had the fellow who played Floyd on the Andy Griffith Show. He was on Little Ricky's Gets Straight Stage Fright episode. Howard Morris, and so it just was an iconic show, and funny to say that we still, my wife and I, family, we still watch it. I put on Pluto, and there's like 24-hour stream, and it's like I thought I'd never, I didn't want to see any more episodes of I Love Lucy, but I'm actually enjoying them more than I did back then. I mean, the quality's just amazing, some of these stream formats. So
absolutely. And the writing, and I asked Lucy Arnaz at one time, I said, what do you think the success of that series was? She said it was the writing. Yep. Everybody on the show really loved one another and respected one another and worked hard to make it what it became, which is one of the greatest shows of all time and one of the most beloved, never off television. Do you ever, because I know you've gone through a lot of life and a lot of living, and the Andy Griffith Show is another iconic series to have had, your foot in as well. But do you ever stop and say, holy cow, I was on I Love Lucy? I mean, just when you realize and hear all the feedback from the public and the fans. I know you're very humble, and you have your roots, and you're very family oriented, and your faith is very, very important to you. So you have your grounding and your structure, but then you also say, darn, I was on I Love Lucy. It's a cool thing. You ever pinch yourself with that?
I used to I used to try to get away from the fact that I was a Little Ricky when I was in my younger adult life, and it wasn't really cool to me at one point in my life, and it had so many bad memories. My mom and dad separated. We moved from California and went back to Louisiana. But
you blamed yourself, thinking if you hadn't gone to California, maybe they wouldn't have, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you start thinking, really negative thoughts like that, and just getting down on yourself about things, and then uh, it just, I really look at it like, um, it's just part of my life. God's got a plan for each one of us, and that was part of the plan that God had for me. And He used that show to, in a way, get me more visible, so to speak, in that kind of a thing. And so I've got opportunities to speak and to tell my story and the testimony of how God saved me from literally a child star sad story, really sad story that ends up in sometimes suicide or some other, thing.
Right, because there were times where been thinking about different things because, as much as people see I Love Lucy and they see the Andy Griffith Show and the things you've been a part of, it wasn't always an easy road, and you were hit with a lot of different things that you had to work through in your life, and you talk about it in your spectacular book, Life After Lucy.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Sure, absolutely. I encourage everybody to get this book. It's really a great read, whether you're a I Love Lucy fan or not, just to learn about Keith and his life. You're very open and real about it. And, as much as you were Little Ricky and everything looks idyllic, and we love that, and we turn to that to sort of get away from our daily lives and the craziness in our lives, there's many things you've dealt with and had to go through as well as Keith, right?
Unfortunately, yes. My life story is a story of I just really was a drummer. I was just a little drummer boy who got put in a position in Hollywood where I had to learn to speak lines. My father would help me, connect with that, and then it just was something that I just never really. I don't think I ever really wanted to be an actor, and I knew what my thing was drums, and I knew that I would probably I wanted to do that because that was the most natural thing for me to do. Acting, being on the I Love Lucy show, Lucy and Desi, the energy on that show, the pressure when you have all those people working for you, as Lucy and Desi did, and the success of the show, all these things, and that everyone had to be on spot. Everyone had to do their job, and I was part of that mix. And it was just something that had got to the point where I got a little frazzled. I had to take a break. And Lucy said, well, he needs to take a break from this because it's getting a little bit too much pressure for him. And at this point, Lucy and Desi were a little getting closer to their separation and divorce. And so you could just feel the tension and a little bit of the undercurrent part
You
of
saw
it.
some of that, right? At the house
Yeah.
and everywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, seeing it at their home, seeing the fights, seeing just the general unhappiness that these two amazing actors had in real life. You get on stage, you're acting a part, but then you got to go home and you got to be yourself. And that's the reality of Hollywood. And that's why you see so many lives damaged, because you get all this adulation when you're on the set, and then you have to get back to real life. And it's hard for people like, Lucy and Desi, and just anybody who's working in Hollywood to deal with that kind of dynamic
Because they were like inventing television in a way as they were going along, the three cameras and the reruns, and it was all still a young new medium, so the pressures of it, and they were perfectionistic in certain ways. They really wanted it to be good and quality and exacting, so you were there as part of that.
Mm-hmm. It was, Desi, came up with the 3-camera angle, that all the sitcoms use today. The Andy Griffith Show, on the other hand, was a 1-camera show, which was not filmed in front of a live audience. So the I Love Lucy show was like a play. It would be like a filmed play in front of an audience. And Lucy wanted that. Lucy thrived, I believe, from that. She enjoyed it. She never wanted to, that was her thing, acting and being in front of an audience. And she just, when she got off the show, things like, when I got on the set, I was just a little kid, and my dad told me to call her, Miss Ball, not Lucy. And Lucy, when I said that the first time to her, she said, no, call me Lucy, call Desi, call, Viv, and Bill. She wanted us to be on the same basis because we were part of the cast. So here I was in this adult world, and with some of the responsibilities of that kind of that my age, But then later on, when she did, I think it was her last show, Living with Lucy. What was the name of her last show?
Life with Lucy. Yeah.
Yes, it was that show. She said, I heard one of the actors on the show say, we just called her Lucy. And then she said, oh, it's Miss Ball to you. So she had, she did a 180-degree change in her, she wanted to be called Miss Ball rather than Lucy as she got later on in life.
What was it like working with Vivian Vance and William Frawley? I know Stan Livingston, when he's been here, and he'll be here tomorrow, he had a wonderful relationship with William Frawley when William Frawley was on My Three Sons, almost kind of like an uncle. He just sort of took Stan under his wing. What was it like working with Bill Frawley and Vivian Vance?
Well, Bill and Viv were great. I mean, they were just great people to work with, hardworking people. They knew what they had to do. They did it. And Bill, I would see him, run into him, with the donuts and the coffee in the morning. And, he would just say something like, how's the world treating you today, Keith? And just, he was just himself. The part he played, was pretty close to what he was. He was that kind of a character, but Stan got obviously more of a chance to hang out with him because he was older, and Stan was older, and it could relate more to him as an older guy.
How were you able to handle the publicity as time went on, being on a television show, being on the Desi Lou lot? Were you able to handle that, or did it run into issues and all the attention of being on, here you are on television?
I mean, it was just so normal, it was just work. The studio was like a big playground. The Desi Lou lot, the Desi Lou Cahuenga, the Desi Lou, especially the Gower. I spent time with the Cahuenga studios, which were the original studios that Desi and Lucy used for I Love Lucy show. And then when it changed to the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, the Playhouse, they moved over to Gower, and they filmed it with the 1-camera, not in front of a live audience. And so I got a chance to just run, unless somebody said, something particularly about, your part or your show, or this, this is Little Ricky. I was just a normal kid, and but I knew that we had access to places that other kids didn't,
Did you get to, sometimes some of the folks would say, oh yeah, during the downtime, we would go over to the lot where the other show was filming, or we've got to go to
Right.
play around on the set of this show. Did you all did you mingle with some of the other kids that were on the other shows too?
Sure. I mean, I visited Lassie's set, and I wanted to see Lassie, and I got to know John Provost a little bit and get to see him, as well as we visited the My Three Sons set when Desi Jr. and I, when Here's Lucy and those later shows were being filmed at Desi Lou, we did the warm up with the band. And so we would play drums, and we'd each play a song, and he'd play a song, and I'd play a song, and then we'd argue over, I want to play Saints Go Marching In, and then the other person had to play The Devil Takes a Holiday. So, but we did that for, I don't know, a lot of shows that we did the warm up for, and so in between the show or when we had breaks, we'd walk to the other stage, which was just right next door. We went through a door and we were in My Three Sons set. And, we might see him filming or, catch him filming or not. It might be a black set. But Dick Van Dyke Show was filmed right next door to the Ala Lucy show in the Cahuenga studios. So I would walk across the breezeway or whatever it was with a door, and you'd be on the Dick Van Dyke Show. We would later on, when I did the Andy Griffith show there, we would go to the commissary, and me and Ron would have a hamburger there, and we'd see Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore right next door to us in the next booth. So it was just like, oh, there's Dick Van Dyke. Oh, there's Mary. Okay, and then let's finish this hamburger. So it's like it was just like it was like hey, like
it was all part of
just kind of the vibe that was going on there. That's just cool,
It really, really is. You had an opportunity to have so many different people come through I Love Lucy and the Andy Griffith Show, other character actors and so much more. And there was this opportunity to meet Superman, which was extraordinary. People remember that. Yeah. What was it like being a part of that episode and getting a chance to meet him and just that whole experience? That was I think it was Carolyn Appleby was jealous of Lucy, and she wanted her kid to have the better party. So Lucy wanted top, and she somehow got Superman to be on that episode, a part of your little Ricky's party.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, who gets to have Superman, George Reeves, the classic Superman, come to your birthday party? Who gets to meet this guy, Well, one day I did, and I shook hands with this guy, and he was my idol. I mean, he was my childhood idol. I would jump off roofs with the Superman cape, all this stuff, and we literally watched that show, every time it came on. It was like Superman's on. Wow. And so here he is, and I shook hands with him. And I thought to myself, this guy really is super, But in my mind, in my acting mind, I knew that he was there for a part. So I had this kind of a double, kid fantasy, and then but it was so good working with him. You could tell he genuinely loved kids, and I took a lot of pictures with him, and just a exceptionally nice guy. And even when he was on the show, he came through the kitchen. If you remember that part where he's supposed to fly through the kitchen, well, he had a ladder or a chair or something where he just swung through, and it, but even that seemed super to me. And moving the piano, I knew that it was on rollers, but it seemed like, this guy's really, this guy is tough, he's Superman, So it was a really cool thing. In fact, when he died, I liked him so much that my dad, when it hit the newspapers, my dad told me that he had passed away, and I couldn't believe he passed away. First of all, Superman's going to pass away, but on top of that, my dad said he slipped on a bar of soap in the shower and hurt himself. So I was thinking to myself, how weird is that? I can't believe that. But then later on, you hear about the suicide or the murder, or nobody will ever really know right now.
How did the opportunity to then work with Andy Griffith and everybody over at the Andy Griffith show come your way?
Well, Jim, I was out of a job at the age of 9 years old.
Right.
So
on the unemployment line, right?
You know my story. I went on the unemployment line, and I was there with the other unemployed actors, and then we got a call to try out for a part for the Andy Griffith show, and it happened to be Opie's best friend, of course. And so I went there, and I was signed to Desilu for 7 years, so that helped me, that I was part of the kind of the family of Desilu. So I got that part. It was a small part, of course, about 12 episodes or 13 episodes, but an amazing show as well, the Andy Griffith show. And I can't say enough about how great Ron Howard was. Just a great kid actor who I knew as a kid actor and a friend on the set. He used to ask the writers to write me in a part so I could play with him. And we just had fun. We played catch. We went to the commissary, like I said. We played tag on the set until they called our names. If we had a shot coming up. We filmed at the old Culver City Desilu lot, which is where Mayberry, the outside scenes were shown. And then we did some of the lake scenes on one of the canyons there. And it was just a really, I really love the Andy Griffith show because I'm from the South. And
exactly.
being
Louisiana,
and being on the Al Lucy show, of course, my residence was New York City, and so I have a lot of different places that people connect me with, and it's interesting.
David Van Dusen, our dear friend, is watching. Of course, he's everything Dick Van Dyke. He wanted to know. Do you recall eating at Hal's Studio Cafe?
Did you say Hal's Studio Cafe?
Yeah. Was that on the lot?
Who, me?
Yeah. Was that on the lot, Hal's Studio Cafe?
I don't remember that. It was just the Desilu commissary. And then, of course, next door to the Gower studio was the Paramount commissary, where they had like the big original 10 Commandments from the movie Cecil B. DeMille's 10 Commandments.
He adds in the Desilu Cahuenga commissary.
Cahuenga?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's how you say it, right? Yeah.
Okay, well, Hal's I don't think it was known by Hal's Cafe back then. You can ask him, but I don't think it was.
But you probably ate there and had a good sandwich.
They had good chicken. They had good egg salads there. Yeah.
George is watching, welcoming everybody here. And George wanted to know, can you talk about Fred the dog? Did you get to play with him between scenes? I heard he went on to star with Dennis the Menace as Fremont.
No, I love Fred the dog. In fact, I wanted Fred. I love Fred so much. I wanted a dog. I wanted him, but I couldn't have him because he was an acting dog. And so Lucy said, well, she told my dad, well, Tibby, you need to get that child a dog. You need to get your boy a dog. So he got me a poodle, and that was not my idea of Fred. So, but anyway, Fred was a cool dog. Still very cute today, and that was a cute episode. Yeah.
I tell you, you enjoying these stories, Carolyn? You know
I
them too.
am. I know every one of
It's
them. Yeah,
really,
great.
it's quite amazing. You know, in your book too, as I mentioned, you are, and your life after Lucy, you are very open and you're very authentic. And, you know, I think it's really cool because the book can inspire others who go through different things in their life. What inspired you to write the book?
Actually, I kind of put it off for a long time. I didn't really want to write a book. And a good friend from Virginia, Audrey Hingley, who was a friend of ours with David and the Giants, she would watch us, but she knew about my background with the I Love Lucy show. She really bugged me and kept knocking on the door like that. Hello, I hear some.
Carolyn is. See,
I hear Carolyn.
Carolyn has sound effects for everything we
Me
mentioned.
too.
Did
Yeah.
you have
It's
the
the
dog
drums.
bark? Did you have the
I,
dog barking?
yeah, we have the.
I can arrange it if you'd like.
You can arrange it. She's got sound effects synthesizer in front of her.
I'm
But
sorry.
anyway, I think that's a sign, Carolyn, that I need to
Is it?
reissue my book. I think I need to
Okay, there you
reissue my
go.
book.
There you go.
Old Paul
But
McCartney, somebody's knocking at the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, that's a serious knocking going
It's
on.
this all day. All day.
That's it.
Yes. But if
But,
you need to move me off so you get the sound off, that's fine.
Well, that's
Can,
fine.
can you mute Carolyn or not?
I
Or
don't
We
know.
can.
Until
She's
until
muted.
he stops. Yeah. And then come back on when
Exactly. Yeah, you're muted. We got you on. We got you all set because Carolyn has some, you know, things going on, as she mentioned. They're working upstairs.
Yes.
So the book, yeah, you didn't necessarily want to write it, but then it came time to do it.
Yeah, I did. And I really wanted to since the Lord did so many things in my life. And I became a Christian in 1974. And I talk about how, I went through depression. I went through suicidal thoughts. If it wasn't for God and it wasn't for Jesus Christ in my life, I would not be here. I would be either dead or in a mental institution. Literally, I mean, it was an act of God that saved me. And I had a revelation of Jesus Christ, that He is who He says He is, and that He is the one that died 2,000 years ago and rose from the dead. And I went back to my band and told them about this experience I had with Jesus. And, they thought I flipped out on a drug. And they said, well, you're going to be okay in a couple of weeks, Keith. Don't worry about it. But I just kept talking about, being born again and Jesus and just how He can really change your life, and how God's got a plan for you, and He's got an eternity waiting for you if you just let Him, if you just repent of your sins and give all your efforts to Him, because He did it all on the cross. So I wanted to bring that out in my book, and I had a backstory with the I Love Lucy show and my drums ability at a young age. And then later on, when I joined David and the Giants as a secular band, it was a sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. And one of my best friends ended up in a mental institution, just a very talented musician. And here I was in the same drug world that he was. And I began to experience, voices in my head telling me to throw myself out of my car going 120 miles an hour, down the road, and just paranoid episodes and panic attacks in grocery stores. And it was just a nightmare. And but the light of Jesus came into my life, and it was He who brought me out. And I tell people, I've got a better boss now than Lucy, because Lucy was my boss when I was a kid. And but God is such a great God, and He's so good and He's so favorable. But I would like to reissue my book. I had a fellow from Canada who wanted to help me do that, and maybe change a few things and maybe update a few things. But it's out of print now, but I think people can still pick it up on Amazon, places like that.
You are very in touch with your faith and with the Lord, which I think is such a beautiful thing, and it's helped get you through and carry you through.
Yes.
Having this wonderful camaraderie with fellow talented musicians like the gang and David and the Giants, which has been a friendship for a long, long time. What is that like? You guys are quite amazing together.
Well, I joined that band when I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
That was my first departure from my home as a boy or a young adult. And so they were like brothers. They were like older brothers to me. And we became a family when I was playing, the regular rock stuff when we were still not Christians. And then they became even closer to me as we came to faith together and played all over the U.S. and Canada and UK and Jamaica. We've had I've probably been to about every state in the Union and almost every big town, little town here and there that you can think of. But it's been an amazing journey because, I saw in the Bible where we could praise God with music. And I also saw that you could praise God with the dance. And so my wife is a ballet dancer, and I remember trying to see where she fit in. I met my wife in 1976, and we got married then. We still married 48 years almost. And
Congratulations.
We have, thank you. Yeah, we only by the grace of God, but still, it's been an amazing way that my wife and I founded Ballet Magnificat. It's a Christian ballet company that magnifies the Lord through dance, through ballet, Bible stories. And this group, Ballet Magnificat, that you see now, has been to over 50 countries. And we started a ballet company in Brazil in 2017. So we have a school and a trainee program and a company, a professional company in Brazil, Curitiba, Brazil. And we go there as much as we can because I love Brazil.
That is fantastic. Something special that happened to you recently too. I think it was last year that happened. Oh, I think he disappeared. We'll have to get him to come back. You probably know this, Carolyn.
Yeah.
He was inducted into, there he is. Welcome back, Keith. I was mentioning to Carolyn if she knows this or not. This is quite an honor for you. You were inducted to the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame last year, Keith.
Great.
Yeah, that was a really
congratulations
really,
and
well deserved.
Thank you.
Yeah,
well, you grew up.
It was really nice and just to have my family and friends there and for it and it's made special to me. Louisiana is part of my heart too.
And Lafayette area is where you hail from, right?
That's right, Lafayette, Breaux Bridge, which is the crawfish capital of the world.
That's right. Yeah,
and it's a lot of music there, a lot of great food, and a lot of family there. Yeah,
absolutely. How has
congratulations?
It's quite an honor.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you.
I wanted to make sure everybody, all the fans, everybody watching, saw that. You also, we're talking about reminiscing. We're talking about your incredible, career in music as well, and the iconic shows you've been a part of. You've also had opportunities to stay in touch with some of the other incredible, former child stars who've gone on to other things as well, who, like Jerry Mathers, he was a guest on our show maybe last year. Such a sweetheart of a guy. And of course, John Provost, who's with us tomorrow. There's your lovely wife, Kathy. And of course, there you are as well. And Butch Patrick from the Munsters.
Yep.
There is a lot of television history on this screen right about here.
Yeah. That was so cool. It was my wife's birthday, and we did we were doing a charity event in St. Louis, and all these guys were invited. We did a dinner like Carolyn
Yeah.
Really, really similar to that, where we got to meet a lot of people and take pictures of
That's
things.
so great. I got to get Butch on the show. He hasn't been on the show yet. He's another great guy, an iconic figure as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
so also, the ballet, I think the opportunity to be involved in that is really a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's something quite special.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, we're already planning a tour to Europe. We'll be in Prague. We'll be in Germany, possibly England, and some places like Kosovo and places like that. But that'll be in the spring, Lord willing. And we just got back from Brazil and Colombia doing a tour down there. And we've been everywhere from Singapore to China. We went into China and we're able to perform at theaters in China, and doing what we do as a Christian ballet. It's quite remarkable because of course communism is got a lockhold over there, and it was just amazing that we had those kinds of opportunities to use dance as as sort of like I don't want to say a Trojan horse, but it was a Trojan horse for the Lord, to go in there and and really touch people's hearts over there.
When did you realize, because you were raised Catholic, right?
That's right.
When did you realize that your faith was going to be very strong and that you were going to have this personal relationship with the Lord? Was it through the trials and tribulations that you had to work through and endure that you turned to the Lord and it became stronger for you, or was it always there? What was that pivotal moment where you really understood, appreciated, and made the Lord deeply a part of your life, Keith?
When I started, I was recounting about my depression and the suicidal thoughts that I began to have at one point in my life when I lost all hope in myself and even the world. It was at that point that I was raised Catholic, like you said. I went to Catholic school from first grade to sophomore in high school, and I wanted to be a priest at one time. So I had a very I was always aware of God. I just didn't know him. I just didn't know that he was for me. And at that point in my life, at that way down there, I started to going back to Catholic church. I'd get up in the morning after a rock and roll concert and and go to mass at 6:00 in the morning. And I was trying to do what I knew to do, which is that I was raised Catholic and my family's Catholic, to whatever avenue that was to get to God. And it was there. I did that, and I just knew at that point I was beyond just going to church. I needed a miracle, and so lo and behold, my mom started going to a Holy Spirit filled Catholic charismatic meeting in Louisiana, and so I got invited one night to go, and I went. And I was just this hippie guy, long hair, at the end of my rope, so to speak. And I just knew I needed a miracle. And I had a vision of Jesus Christ in that whole sequence of times that I was there. I had one particular night a vision of Jesus that just changed my life. And it was amazing. He was the one that died 2,000 years ago, Jesus of Nazareth. And the Bible began. I began to understand the words of the Bible, and I just, it was just me and the Bible, me and God, for so long. And then I went back to the guys in the band, and I told them about my experience with the Lord, and they said I was, I'll be okay in a couple of weeks and all that. But I actually witnessed to David, who's the lead guitar player of David and the Giants. One night after we played a gig in Alabama, I think at University of Alabama, and we we're talking about Jesus, and he was smoking a joint. He's smoking some pot, and he was, just listening to me, and then it just kind of tuned me out. But then I just kept talking about Jesus, and then he said he began to hear the story that I was telling him about Jesus, and it just became just like he just really wanted to hear more about it. And it was like for the first time in his life, he really wanted to know more about Jesus. So I left him a Bible, and we were roommates. And when I left the band, and I'd married Kathy, and we were going to California and to start actually a band with Desi Arnaz Jr., which never worked out. But I left him a Bible, and then he came to the Lord, became a Christian, and then his two twin brothers also, through David's witness, came to the Lord too. So it was a very amazing journey that we all had, that we all came together. We were, in one world, then all of a sudden we were in a new world, a born again world. So, yeah.
What made you decide, Island MC, Andy Griffith, to then sort of pull away from the Hollywood, the acting part, and focus more on the music? You were a born and bred musician, and a brilliant one at that too. But what was it that caused you to say, okay, I'm going to go back to my roots, go back home, and focus on other things that I, as Keith, not as Johnny or Ricky, but as Keith, things
Yeah.
I want to do? When was that crucial, and when did that happen for you? Because I'm sure you had many opportunities that probably presented themselves to you being on these shows to stay in Hollywood and probably be involved in other TV series or other movies and other things.
Well, I think I probably would have stayed and done the Andy Griffith show more, I think. But my mom and dad separated. We moved back to Louisiana. And so it was a whole new life, a whole new culture. Went from the Beach Boys to swamp music, and it was just an amazing shock to me as a kid. I was 15 years old when I actually moved back to Louisiana, 15 and a half. And I didn't know, I knew that, all I was going to do was go finish high school, and we were just going to try to survive. My mom was out of a job or didn't have a job, never had a job. She was a housewife until my dad and mom separated. So she had to go back to school and business school to find some means to make income. So as I was in high school, I began to meet people, and of course they knew I was Little Ricky, but that was it was Little Ricky, okay, but that didn't mean that much. But the fact that I played the drums was something that I connected with a few people that I met, and then I met this one particular guy, a couple of guys. Gary Lamson, who's now he's like president of an oil company in Lafayette, and another guy, Tommy, who ended up being somewhat handicapped because of drugs. And but these two guys, they were just playing music. They said, "Come over and just jam with us at my house." So I went over there. They had a set of drums over there, and I just started playing songs, and we just connected because the music they were playing. I said, "Oh, I love that song. Yeah, that's like a Yardbirds song out or whatever. Oh yeah, 10 Miles High or 8 Miles High by the Byrds." And just this type of music is the thing that got us together. And then I started playing in a garage band, which became the Persian Market, which was a regional band in Louisiana. We had a little 45 single that came out that was on the radio called Flash in the Pan. And that band actually went to Biloxi, Mississippi. And that's when I first met David and the Giants, because they were the house band at the old Vapors Club in Biloxi, Mississippi, which had been places where like the Allman Brothers, before they were the Allman Brothers, played, and Jimi Hendrix was the guitar player for Little Richard, played there. So I got to connect with David and the Giants through my my band Persian Market. So it was something that I was naturally good at, and so that was kind of like the best thing I could do. And I actually went to college. I was going to take music, and you know, I pedaled around with, you know, doing pre-law or whatever. But I just always came back to music. I always get asked to play in a band, so I'd go play in clubs, rhythm and blues clubs, and just figured, you know, I don't need college because I can make a living doing this. So that's when David and them called me and said, you know, we'd love to ask you to be our drummer. So I moved to Mississippi from Lafayette, Louisiana. Almost got drafted in the meantime, but I got a fake prescription from a doctor that said I had a chronic bronchitis, which was able to get out of it. But I would have been headed to Vietnam if I hadn't have done that. But you know, I look back on those days and I think, well, that was wrong to do that, and I, you know, I confess that to the Lord that I would do that. And all those people, you know, a lot of people died during that war in Vietnam, but I figured, you know, after I became a Christian, it was like God had a plan. You know, I think I possibly would have died because I was just starting that road of depression and suicidal, weird thinking during that time. So I think it was best that it happened like it happened.
It's really amazing. You know, it's like faith and music saved you in many different ways, huh?
I think it was, you know, I think it was just, yeah, I've always felt like my drums were God-given talent. I started playing on trash cans in Louisiana when I was 2 years old, and knives and forks and pots and pans. So I just, you know, it was just something that I did. It wasn't something that anybody pushed me to do. My dad and mom certainly didn't push me to play drums. Uh, However, when my drumming abilities began to be known, you know, my dad was proud of that and took me around, and that's how the Horace Heidt audition came out as well.
You know, talking about the iconic shows and everything, Lucy Arnaz was quoted when she was interviewed on the TV show Archive of American Television, and you were on that too. And that Archive of American Television sort of archival series is really extraordinary. I give them hats off. I always enjoy going back and watching some of the amazing people. Many are no longer with us, but a lot of those can be found online as well. Lucy Arnaz said that you became part of the family for a long time. Lucy Arnaz herself thought that you were related to the family, and you went everywhere with them.
That's
Desi
right.
Jr. considered you his best friend, and
That's
you're
right.
responsible for teaching him the drums. You came over to the house on many weekends, traveled with Lucy and Desi, and Lucy and Desi Jr. Through the summers. And your mother, their mother, Lucy and Desi Jr.'s mother, Lucille Ball, kind of adopted you into the family, and you're in all the home movies, photographs growing up, a great kid, and still is, with love from Lucy Arnaz. But you really, as much as you were, you know, on the set and you were a working actor, you were immersed on many occasions within the family, and she thought that you were related.
Well, I mean, it's natural because, you know, when I guess I was 5 years old when I was introduced to Lucy and Desi Jr. Lucy had me come over to their Beverly Hills home, and it was like we instantly just got along. I mean, it was just amazing. And, you know, spent summers together, spent weekends together, went to the beach together, went bowling together, had our own bowling balls. Desi bought us bowling balls, you know, custom bowling balls with our name on it. And, you know, it was just, you know, we had, I, I, I literally, you know, they were my family, you know, they were my Beverly Hills family. And it was, you know, that's the way it was when we were kids. Of course, we've now gone our definite separate ways and living in different geographic locations. But we always, there's always that part of us that we know that we experienced and that we had together that time, you know.
Which is quite amazing. And, you know, a lot of that is celebrated with Night of Dreams, which is such a great, great thing that is the incredible vision of Carolyn, where, you know, Carolyn, I mean, I work in television, radio, broadcast media has been a part of my life. My second thing would be if I didn't work in television, radio and study it in school and be immersed in it. I love architecture and design as well. Probably would have also included that in the mix. Were you always a kid of television, Carolyn? Did you always watch all these shows, admire all these people on the shows? Was this something? And then out of that was born Night of Dreams. Tell us about that.
I did. I mean, television was such a central part of our lives growing up. It isn't like it is now where they just everyone's watching it on their phone, and you know, the families used to sit around together after dinner and we'd all watch these shows together. And we only had 3 channels, CBS, NBC, ABC, and then some local channels. So we kind of felt like the television families were an extension of our own families. And it was such an integral part of our lives growing up. So it absolutely had an influence on why I started Night of Dreams. Because, okay, so a lot of the shows featured, you know, like Michael Landon, who was my first crush, and
Little House
some
on
of
the
the other,
Prairie,
right, and Starsky and Hutch, and all these. So you're watching them as this young, and Mickey Dolenz on the Monkees, and you're watching them as this young girl or young guy, and you're thinking, God, I'll never get to meet these people. You know, they're just like in this other world, right?
Sphere, right?
Right. Yeah. So, so you grow up, and then you realize that that it is possible to meet them, especially as we get older. And I came up with this idea that, you know, to bring everyone together in this intimate setting. And so the 16-year-old girl who had the crush on Hutch, or the 12-year-old girl who had a crush on Mickey Dolenz, even though she's now in her 60s, shall we say, gets to, okay, in their eyes, those people still look the same. You still have that same crush. And these women, it's so fun to see them because they're so excited to meet these guys that they had these crushes on, and they can barely speak. It's just so fun to watch their reaction. You know, it might be a little different with the kids of Desi Lou because these were kids, and I'm taking these things out. So, you know, the crushes may not have been there, but it's still the same idea that I literally have waited all my life to meet little Ricky. I mean, let's face it, you know, I was probably 5 when I started watching the show. So it's very exciting to take that world as a child and make it real for those of us now that are adults.
These shows and these people in these shows have been, you know, like there he is on the drums, a part of millions of people's lives for decades around the world. They're part of the the culture, the psyche. They're the go-to. Like during the pandemic, I always whisper that. YouTube goes crazy when you say it. YouTube algorithm goes crazy when you say it. During that time period, everybody was really going back to I Love Lucy, Dick Van Dyke, all of these shows, and wanting to cling to things that made them feel comfortable and at ease, things that were familiar. And that's what these show, Andy Griffith, all of these shows provide this sense of warmth and kindness, and with a laugh or two mixed in as well. And they just have stood the test of time in ways that really have transcended the ages, and probably even the creators, the folks that have been. We had the son of Jess Oppenheimer on the show as well, and he was talking about the involvement of how putting the whole show together and everything. A lot of people back then, and I'm sure even Keith would say, nobody really thought that these shows that they were a part of were going to be things that people are still talking about 50, 60, 70 years later. It's just so the breadth and scope of people that have been touched, and younger generations that are discovering these, saying, you know what? I like what I'm watching now, but this stuff then, whether it's television, movies, music, this was good stuff back then. You know what I mean? It's sort of being reintroduced to new generations. I would imagine, Keith, that's pretty cool too, huh?
Yes, I think it's really exciting to see, and especially when there's my wife and I like older movies. We like old stuff, 40s, 50s, TCM stuff, and even YouTube movies. Started getting into Charlie Chan when we were in Brazil in the hotel. I just started watching old episodes of Charlie Chan, but even with Lucy Arnaz, you're going to have Lucy on in a couple of days. I remember when the playhouse at their house was turned into it was like a stage for Lucy, and she would love to do these little skits and these little plays, and she would sometimes bring Desi and I into the whole story or the whole play, and but this is something she's still doing right now. She's still continuing to do that. At that time I didn't think she would be doing that, but she has such a love for that, and people, they're going to follow their passion, whatever it is, and definitely Lucy has followed her passion, has done quite well, and exceptional, and she's kind of made her own way from her mother's shadow, and she's become a great representative of her dad and mom.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Gail Reese watching, a lot of folks watching our regular Jim Master Show Lovities. We call the viewers the Lovities. It's light, love, and levity sort of put together. Night of Dreams, a wonderful experience for fans, young and vintage alike. Highly recommended. Thank you, Gail, as well. What's it like putting it together? I think Kathleen Walker, who's watching in New York City, was wondering, and I guess it would be hard only because of where everybody lives, but is Night of Dreams something that would also happen in other cities and other states? Are you hoping that it happens in New York and other places, in your old stopping grounds?
We did do a Starsky and Hutch in New Jersey, and we did another Starsky and Hutch in New Orleans. And that was a lot of fun. We, a very select group of fans got to spend the weekend with Paul, David, and Antonio in a bed and breakfast. So they had breakfast with them and just hung out in the living room. And then a larger group would meet at the dinner in the evening. But so that was really special. I haven't taken any others out on the road. Most of them are here. Some of that's just a logistical thing. When you have so many people. Like when I did Little House on the Prairie, it would entail so much
Yes.
moving.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the sets for the shows, like the home and family that we took people to last year, or the shooting locations of Starsky and Hutch, they're here. So
Well,
it just
you and
makes
I were
more
talking
sense.
about that behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Keith and Carolyn and I were talking when I was on a TV shoot out in LA. There were two places that I wanted to quickly squeeze into the visit. One was checking out the Brady Bunch house because
Sure.
HGTV was going through that massive multi-million-dollar renovation, and they were selling the house, but they had that TV show about it, and a couple of colleagues of mine that work at HGTV were involved in it. So I wanted to check it out, and it was really cool. I think there was a painter who was painting the actual street address that isn't the street address of the house, but the street address on the show on the curb, which was cool. And then I said, I got to get up to Pasadena. I always wanted to see the house that was used on Family with Seda Thompson and Jim Broderick, Kristen McNichol, Gary Frank, Meredith Baxter Burney, Quinn Cummings, all of them. And it's there, and it's a beautiful house in Pasadena. The neighborhood, the streetlights are all the same. And you, through Night of Dreams, gave people an opportunity to actually go to the house that was used in the TV show Family and other movies, have lunch with Gary Frank, and tour the owners, because there are owners, folks. So don't go knocking on the doors. They're private people that own these houses. You can drive by, but take a photo. But they actually let you in, and you arranged it for people too.
Yes.
That's how cool. Logistically, that's got to be quite a thing to put these kinds of events together. But a real pleasure, huh?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I have some great help. I'm very lucky. I have some friends that just volunteer their time to help me do a lot of this stuff. But it's a lot of work. But man, when it comes together and the event actually happens, I have so much fun. That's when I can finally breathe and relax and just enjoy. So, yeah.
Which is really the key on so many different levels. I want to let folks know that, if the sets of the shows filmed at Desi Lou Studios could talk, you probably wonder what would they say about these legendary stars who perform there. And you have an opportunity to actually ask the kids of Desi Lou Studios, the Ricardos, the Petries, and Martin and Steve Douglas on September 8th at the resort that Desi and Lucy designed and built in 1957. It's at Indian Wells, which that's in the area of where the big tennis tournament is as well. Night of Dreams invites you to a very special evening with the kids of Desi Lou Studios. You'll join Keith, who of course was Little Ricky and also was on Andy Griffith's show as Johnny. Richie Petrie, Larry Matthews will be there, and from the Dick Van Dyke Show. He's going to be here tomorrow talking about it too. Chip Douglas, Stan Livingston, who's a good friend of our show. He's been here several times. He will be there. You'll be able to meet him and say hi. And, I have to tell you, they're all affable people. They're all friendly. They're all warm. They get that you have such an affinity for these shows. So they're very responsive. It's not where they're going to be off in the corner and you're not going to be able to see them. They're going to be right there, which is wonderful. And of course, John Provost, Timmy Martin from Lassie is going to be there as well. And just announced recently, Tina Cole, who played Katie Douglas on My Three Sons, is going to be there as well as a special guest. And all of them are going to transport you down memory lane, share personal stories of their time on and off set, learn behind the scenes, the tales of working with Lucy and Desi, Fred McMurray, William Frawley, Vivian Vance, June Lockhart, Dick Van Dyke, Mary Tyler Moore, Andy Griffith, Don Knotts. There's cocktails, conversation, dinner with Keith and Stanley and John and Larry, Tina, all in this extraordinary evening that's been designed by Night of Dreams in the ballroom of the legendary Indian Wells Resort. And I want to let folks know, too, something very special, which I think is really important, that a portion of these proceeds benefit Katerina's Club.
Yes.
Tell us about that, Carolyn. That's something really, really special.
There's a restaurant here in Orange County. It's the White House of Anaheim. And the owner, Bruno Serrato, he came over here from Italy, and he promised his mother, Caterina, that if he made it big in this country, that he would give back. And he has more than given back. He feeds over 25,000 children a week, 365 days out of the year. When his restaurant burnt down several years ago, they have rebuilt it, but when it burnt down, he mortgaged his home so he could continue to feed these children. And now they are creating housing for these homeless families. So it's a fabulous organization, nonprofit organization. So a portion of the proceeds, but 100% of the raffle items, and we're going to have some really cool raffle items, will go towards Caterina's Club.
And folks can learn more. They can go right to eventbrite.com. And then there's a link to Night of Dreams. And of course, there's the nightofdreams.com website as well to learn more about this incredible event that we're talking about. It's really called the Kids of Desi Studios. There it is on the screen, folks. It's going to be something really, really special. All these shows that were filmed there on the Desi Studios, Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball, that's the Desi if you didn't know. And of course, working on other Keith, it's really, do you enjoy being a part of these kinds of things? It's a lot of fun meeting the fans and hearing their stories.
You know, I do. And I want to congratulate Tina for coming. Yes, I want to congratulate
You're
Tina
all friends. Tina, John, Stan.
Yeah. I want to congratulate everyone on that. But particularly, seriously, Carolyn, thank you so much for all that you've done to help make this night what it is. Because this was Carolyn's idea, the Kids of Desi. I think it's just brilliant. And, you know, we all worked at Desi Studios. We all grew up there. And it's going to be a great night. Thank you.
You are welcome. And yes, just come to nightofdreams.com and grab a ticket. Right now we're having half off it'll be for the next 2 weeks, half off any seat. So this would be the time to go in and grab your seats.
And I'll be playing the drums.
Yes.
You're playing the drums too, which is going to be really, really fantastic.
Yes.
That's a great thing for people to realize that that's going to happen as well. And then Tina Cole was just added as well. And
hey, Jim, do you realize this is the first time I would have played that song since the show?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you know that? So I'll be playing that little Dixieland number that I did on the Alavusi show. That'll be the first time I've ever played that song since that little kid played it back in those days.
Oh my gosh! Then everyone just has to come. This is just,
this is going to be history in the making. You're hearing, folks, Keith, and if you say, I highly doubt if you say, "Hey, little Ricky," to Keith, that he's going to say, "What do you mean? I'm Keith." He gets it. He understands. He's embraced the characters, from I Love Lucy and from and from Andy Griffith as well. Do you still stay in touch at all with any of the cast members from the Andy Griffith show, from Ron or anybody?
Well, Dennis Rush, who played Howie, and then Clint Howard, who's Ron's brother. I've done a couple of shows with him and some of the various years that we've done it, and even did something with Don Knotts when he was still alive in Birmingham one time, and Winston-Salem. But I have not seen Ronnie, as I called him, back in the day since the show. I'm like 3 or 4 years older than Ron Howard, so it was we weren't really hung out off the set, but on the set we were really very, very, very close, and he would hang out and we would have fun.
David and the Giants too. I want to let people know, still touring, still performing, still happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
We,
Anything
we,
coming up?
we have, well, we're going to be this weekend in for the Scottsburg meets Mayberry meets Scottsburg. I'm going to get it right.
Oh yeah.
Festival, and it's going to be great. Saturday night, I think at 8 o'clock, and we're going to be there and doing everything that we can to sound the way we always sounded, and maybe a little better. But it should be fine. It should be good, and it should be fun. We do play all over the place. We did a tour of the Philippines back in 2018 for 2 weeks, and that was amazing. And we still get together. We do, obviously, at our age, we have different things going on. David lives in St. Louis, and his two brothers are in South Mississippi. But we do get together, and when we get together, it's like riding a bike, and it's just amazing to be with them.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And look out for that, folks. It's really, really amazing. This is really a terrific conversation, gang. I'm really, so excited that you guys can stop by and spend this amount of time. And Keith, I'd love to have you come back and we can chat a little bit more. I think it's really, you're a great guy. You're talent, beyond as a musician, of course, a great actor as well. And Carolyn, Carolyn knows where all the good diners are. And I was teasing her in the emails, growing up in the New York area not in Long Island, but on
Long Island. Yes, that's right.
And you know where the pizza and the bagels are. And
best pizza. Yes.
Do you still have family in the New York area? Do you still go back to visit family or?
I have some cousins left. Yeah. One still lives in my hometown.
You're on the South Shore, Sayville, right? The
Sayville,
South Shore,
yes. One cousin
area.
still
Great
lives
South
there.
Bay and
Yep. And we'd take the ferries over to Fire Island, go to the Pines and Cherry Grove and Sunken Forest and Sailor's Haven. So, it's a tiny little town. It still looks exactly like it used to look.
It's over by
like a little Mayberry
and Patchogue and right? Yeah, right, exactly.
It's not even a town, it's a hamlet. It's not even a real town. Yeah.
That's right.
So,
I want to let everybody know too that as we were mentioning, some other friends are joining us here tomorrow. Look who's with us. Tina Cole from My Three Sons is joining us. Larry Matthews from the Dick Van Dyke Show. Tina has been a guest of ours and she's returning. Larry Matthews has been with us. He's returning. Of course, he was Richie Petrie on the Dick Van Dyke Show. John Provost, this will be his first time here. We're very excited about this. He, of course, was Timmy Martin and Lassie, and our good friend who has been with us a number of times. He was just with us 2 weeks ago. Stanley Livingston, he was talking about the actor's journey that he created from My Three Sons. They are with us tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. That is Pacific. And then on Friday, our other dear friend, one and only Lucy Arnaz, returns to the Jim Masters Show. I think this is her third or fourth visit. We were just chatting this morning. She's with us on Friday live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and that's 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you love all of these folks that we've been talking about, they're going to be here on the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series, which is really very, very cool. I encourage you also to pick up this book, gang, if you can find it. The demand is there. It's a wonderful book, Life After Lucy. That's Keith's book. And of course, the kids of Desi Luce Studios, the stories that they're going to tell it's going to be really, really fantastic.
I think so.
Keith, this was really amazing. I know you got to pack up and you're going to be heading to Indiana for the Andy Griffith Festival. Have fun with that, my friend. You, as I say to everybody here, we'll keep the porch light on for you. You are welcome back here anytime to chat with us, my friend. And I really hope, Keith, you enjoy the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you.
I did, Jim. Thank you so much for honoring me to be on your show. And by the way, those guys that are going to be on tomorrow night, they're all great people. They're all great people. They're all great guys. You're going to have fun.
I will definitely, they know, I'm sure, from you, but I'll tell them as well. And I'll say the hi to Lucy for you as
Yep.
well if you
Yes. Give
wanted.
her my love. Yes.
I will absolutely do that. And Carolyn, thank you very much for coming on the show and celebrating all of this entertainment, wonderful television shows, and also keeping, the torch alive through Night of Dreams and this wonderful organization that you founded, and having these events that bring people together, which I think, and Keith, your story is very inspiring, and I'd love to dive into it, in another episode, your journey. I think it's very inspiring,
Sure.
the
I'd love
things
to.
that you share so openly. Carolyn, I think what you're doing is so brilliant because it's, at a time when the world is upside down, everybody's divided, things are so crazy. You're bringing some warmth, kindness, and smiles into people's lives through what you're doing, which I know is through your heart and soul. So a pleasure having you on the show as well. And the porch light is on for you. I know there's other really cool events that you and I already talked about that I'm very excited about. We'll talk about in the future as well. Best of luck with the event, and I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you as well, Carolyn.
I did. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine, gang, and everybody watching around the world. They have been commenting. David, of course, our dear friend, who's everything Dick Van Dyke, David Van Dusen. He had a great time as well, and everybody watching. A lot of people watching from around the world, and want to let everybody know this is archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Thanks for stopping by. New friends made. It's always good to meet new friends.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. Keith, you be well, and thanks for being with us. We'll talk again soon, okay, my friend?
Yes, sir. God bless you, Carolyn.
You too,
God bless
Keith.
you as well, Keith. Take care now.
Bye.
And Carolyn, thank you.
Yes.
It's a pleasure having you with us, and I really appreciate this. This was wonderful, huh?
Thank you. Oh, it was great. Oh, and I got to finally meet Keith until I get.
So this was the first time for you, huh?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No, I'd never met him. I met all the others, but not Keith.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to meet him.
I want to let folks know, too, that as tomorrow we welcome Tina Cole from My Three Sons, Larry Matthews from The Dick Van Dyke Show, John Provost from Lassie, Stanley Livingston from My Three Sons. You'll be popping in and joining us as well, which is going to be wonderful, and I look forward to that. And as a reminder for everybody, Lucy Arnaz joins us once again, dear personal friend, and just an amazing talent. She's going to be performing at 54 Below in New York City in July. We'll be there rooting her on. She's going to be here joining us. And wow, Keith Thibodeaux, an incredible actor, fabulous drummer, musician. Little Ricky from I Love Lucy, Johnny, of course, from the Andy Griffith Show, and of course, so much more with his band. And we really went down memory lane. This was really, did you enjoy this? Did you have fun, Carolyn? We really, and there they are. There's his family. And of course, David and the Giants is the band that he's been in for all these years. And they're still playing, and they're still connected, and they're still doing their thing, which I think is really, really awesome. And the amazing stories that we had, talking about I Love Lucy and what it was like working with Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, Vivian Vance, William Frawley, and all the guest stars. And there he is. There's Keith right there. For me, I love all the episodes of I Love Lucy too, Carolyn, but I really liked when, just from maybe a scenic point of view, I did really like that upstairs apartment where they got the window and the piano was by the window. Remember in the earlier episodes, they didn't have the window.
Right.
They were downstairs, and then they moved on up, and then they had that really nice, fancier apartment.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
What was that one of your favorite shows growing up? I Love Lucy?
It's still my favorite show. The close second is but then I get I get torn, because I was going to say my close second is Dick Van Dyke, but I love the Andy Griffith Show.
The Andy Griffith Show.
You can't beat Don Knotts,
No.
It was just wonderful. It was just I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, my son, he's 46 years old, and those three shows are on his top shows also. They're timeless.
I really
They're
like that.
timeless.
I like you mentioned celebrating family, because I
Yes.
really think that's a show that um, it's sort of resurging a little bit. People are talking
Yes.
about it. People are remembering it. I think if I remember, Aaron Spelling being quoted, of all the shows that Aaron Spelling, who was Mr. Television, 70s and 80s,
Mhm.
with producing some of these, Charlie's Angels, I mean, so many incredible shows,
Mhm.
um, that one of his personal favorites of all of them was family.
Yeah.
And to have an opportunity to celebrate family, and of course, James Broderick, who is the father of Matthew Broderick, who was married to Sarah Jessica Parker, played, of course, Doug Lawrence, and the incomparable, very underrated actress, Sada Thompson, was brilliant
Fabulous.
at Catherine as Kate Lawrence, and Christy McNichol, Gary Frank, Meredith Baxter Burney, Quinn Cummings, and then all the guest stars they had. It was just a wonderful show, and there are limited DVDs out there. We got all the DVDs, but then Sony didn't continue issuing the rest of the series. So YouTube, various people have them on YouTube, and I think some of the nostalgic channels also have aired. I think MeTV2 and others have
I think
aired.
it's on Tubi right now.
Oh, is it on Tubi?
I think so.
And then I remember Antenna TV, I think, or Cozy, or one of them would do like a weekend marathon. They would take like Starsky and Hutch or Family or
Yes.
something, and the whole weekend would be all the episodes of the series. It really is a well-written, beautifully shot series, and one of my favorites as well. And are we the blessed ones to be talking about all these great shows that we love,
and I'm
Carolyn?
excited to get them together in October, so that'll be a fun one too.
It's really.
I did one last year, but I'll be doing it again this year.
Which is, yes, and keep me posted on all these.
I will.
We've got a wonderful home here at the Jim Masters Show. There it is, the kids of Desi Studios. It's going to be really, really special. We've been mentioning it throughout the show. We want to mention it again. You can go to nightofdreams.com. Also, Eventbrite 2 brings you there as well, and it's going to be something very special, and a lot of your familiar faces and friends are going to be there, and they're going to greet you, and you can have chats. I think it's really fantastic, because we've had several folks from the Waltons and from Little House on the Prairie come through. Dean Butler was just here. Michael Lerner was just here. And I think they're celebrating like 50 years, and they're getting everybody together and touring. Just to see the reactions that people have to these shows is quite special, isn't it?
It is. It's very special. And I'm hoping I did a Little House on the Prairie a few years ago, and Allison and I are talking about doing one next year for Night of Dreams. It's, even though they're having a ton of celebrations this year to celebrate
for the
their
50th, right?
Yeah, so we're thinking, maybe we'll do an after party next year and have a little. Yeah,
is a hoot, isn't
Oh
she?
my
She's
gosh,
been with us,
she's
I think,
so
3
fun.
times.
So
But
fun.
she is just, and the story she tells, and her book, Confessions of a Prairie, surviving Nellie Olson, right?
Right.
And the stories that she's talked about, where she's been in stores where somebody came up and almost slapped her because she was seeing her as Nellie Olson.
One woman did slap her.
She actually got slapped.
Yeah.
I remember she told the story on our show, and I didn't remember if she actually was slapped or the woman was gonna. That could happen. People really do take this seriously sometimes. I know with the soap operas, they take it seriously. I've heard stories from some of the soap actors who've come through who've said things like, "Oh my God, we were just at the store and we were shopping, and a person came up and was mad. I can't believe you're cheating on him," and blah, blah, blah. And then they slapped me or that.
Yep. And they take it so seriously.
Seriously. So right. Exactly. Did you like the soaps too when you were, going
Not
along?
really.
I know a lot of them were filmed, and Another World was filmed in New York.
Yeah.
Guiding Light, As the World Turns were all filmed in, I think, Brooklyn.
One Life to Live was the only one I watched, and I watched it in college. Uh, it was kind of a fluke because I was watching a game show, they were all over the networks, during the daytime back then.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
they
I was
were.
watching that, and I was really sick, and I was in bed, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel good. So I didn't want to get up, because back then you had to get up to turn the channel on the TV, right? So One Life to Live came on, and the baby was kidnapped or something, and the next day I thought, huh, I wonder if they ever found the baby. And 10 years later, I'm still watching Life to Live. So, but the cool thing is, I was in New York visiting, going back home to visit, and I was in, oh God, I want to say around this Greenwich Village area, and there were all these lights, these spotlights, and it just turned out that they were filming an episode of One Life to Live. And Robert Woods was on it. Bo Buchanan, he played on the show. And he was standing there, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm in New York, and they're filming the only soap that I watch. So a lot of fun. But yeah, that's the only one. It never got into any of the others. So
That's amazing. Truly,
yeah,
it really,
yeah,
really
yeah,
is. And
yeah.
so this is great. And again, congratulations, David, of course, our dear mutual friend. The
Yes.
event, so fantastic. Looking forward to attending, which is wonderful. And again, it comes up on September 8th, right?
Uh-huh.
So coming up quick, get those tickets. And I would imagine you probably have people that they probably come from all over the country, right? Not just that immediate area, but
Oh no, they come from all over.
super fans, really.
Super fans will come from other countries, not just other states. I've had them come from Switzerland. I've had them come from Australia, London, Paris.
Really?
Oh God, we had a family come from Japan for one event. Yeah, the whole family came over. So, there's no limit. I mean, it's California, come make a weekend of it, come make a week of it, go see Disneyland, just combine it with your family vacation, and come meet some of these kids that we grew up with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Keith will be there, and Tina and Larry and John and Stanley will be there as well. And there it is again, the kids of Desilu Studios, nightofdreams.com. Carolyn, this was wonderful. New friend. We've got so many connections with our love of television. And
Yes.
I love working in television and radio and film and have since school. And we've got this New York, Long Island connection as well.
Yeah, that's a strong connection,
That's a very, you cannot.
No one gets it, but
no,
it's a Long Island thing.
It's what exit are you? And but really, it's beautiful because the further out east you go, it's absolutely beautiful. Like the beaches, Heckscher State Park, Robert Moses, and Sunken Meadow, and all these great. We were lucky, surrounded by water with the Atlantic Ocean and the Great South Bay on the South Shore, and then the Long Island Sound on the North Shore, with Long Island surrounded by water, 180 miles long, 30 miles wide, and with New York City as sort of a backdrop, so you can go into the city and go to Broadway. When I was in school as a kid, and for those watching, Long Island is not part of New York City. It's part of New York State. It's a separate island that's part of New York State, although people think it's part of the city. But some of our class trips, we thought nothing of it. We would go in to see a Broadway show or something at Radio City Music Hall or whatever, and it was just part of what you did. You went to the Statue of Liberty,
we went
Empire
to see
State Building.
The Mets play at Shea Stadium on one of our tours. It was great. Yeah, it was just part of our lives. And the cool thing is, because my little town in Sayville, it rolls up its sidewalks around 9 o'clock, So for fun, we would just hop on the train and spend a day in the city, and you get that energy, and then you come back to your little town.
Do you miss the East Coast at all?
I miss it a lot. I try to go back. Actually, I was there last year, and I will be going back next year with some friends, I hope. I'm turning 70 next year, so I'll be there celebrating.
No way.
Oh, yeah, way. Yes. So I love it. I go back just to get that feeling and then to get a shot of the adrenaline in the city. And I just don't move there because I don't really want to deal with the weather,
Now,
the winters.
although with everything that's been going on with things warming up, there
Yeah,
was only
that's
one
true.
snowstorm last year in this
Yeah.
Northeast area. It's and right now it's like we're having a heat wave, 90 degrees.
Gee.
It's the whole week is 90. It's been about 75, 80. It's been really beautiful the
Yeah.
last several weeks, but in the winters, this up in this tri-state New York area, it has been minimal for storms. Nothing. You
Wow.
probably talk to people that are here.
Yeah, and it's really hot, but when it's hot there, it's super humid too,
You
right?
get the humidity of like the South Judge, you get it coming up the East Coast. Sure,
Mm.
absolutely right. That's when you get in your car and you go up to Maine or
That's
Vermont
right.
and you cool off in the
That's
mountains in New
right.
Hampshire or what
Right.
have you, right? Um,
Right. That's right. But I've been toying with the idea of going back and living there, getting a place. Now, obviously, ideally, it would be lovely to have a place there and then come back here, in the winter. I mean, that would be ideal. I wouldn't want to go to Florida. I would want to come back to California. My son's here. My world is
just so
here
you
now.
know that when you mentioned 70, everybody's like, what? No way. I don't believe that. Jane doesn't believe it. You look terrific. Linda Johnson's here.
It's smoke and mirrors, folks.
Real quick, because
Yeah,
I know you're very busy too.
sure.
You're there in California.
Uh-huh.
You've had access to some of these incredible folks as well. And
Mhm.
I've been lucky to interview many people on PBS and elsewhere in my career. And then this series, the Jim Master Show, for everybody watching now, sort of was a pandemic project that I started 4 years and 3 months ago,
Mhm.
extending things from my work on television and radio and by creating this. And it continues to be a blessing. Did you ever have an inkling or an opportunity yourself to appear on camera, to get into acting, commercials, or anything since you're out there in, the area of Tinseltown?
No, interestingly, the only time I ever did any commercials was you mentioned Cozy TV earlier. When I did my one of the Starsky and Hutch events in New Jersey, Cozy TV was gracious enough to film a bunch of promos for our upcoming event. So, because they were doing a Starsky and Hutch marathon, so I got to do those commercials. But other than that, nope, I haven't had any TV experience or acting experience. I'm not much of an actress. I don't think anyone is going to
Now that you're
hire
on the
me.
Jim Master Show.
Well, that's true. Maybe I'll be
Keep your phone
discovered.
near you. That's funny.
Yeah. Okay.
This was really a treat, Carolyn, to have, of course, Keith joining us, and then you
Oh,
also joining us as
yes,
well,
Keith.
and sharing your stories,
Oh,
Keith sharing his stories. Love to have Keith back. He's really amazing, and talk more. I love his inspirational journey, the things he shares, about his life. He's been very open about, when you see the folks on television, everybody assumes sometimes that the life that is on television matches exactly always
mhm,
24/7 the life people live.
mhm,
But it's not always the case. People are
mhm.
real, they have lives, everybody bleeds, everybody
Yep.
has
Yep.
hopes and dreams and fears and all
Yep.
kinds of things. And those stories can be very inspirational as well. And I saw a couple of others, Butch Patrick in the picture. I'd love to get him on. Christopher
Mhm.
Atkins, people have asked about him as well. He would be great. And a couple
I
of
had
others.
Christopher at one of my events.
Did you?
We did a Super 70s Teen Idol event,
That
and he
makes,
was one of the, yeah, of
yeah,
course. I
there
could
we
have just
go.
had Chris there. It would have sold out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, love to have him on the show and others, but you be well, my friend, and
Thank you.
congratulations on everything. Thanks so much again for stopping by the Jim Master Show live series.
Sure.
Come back and see us again. we'll again keep the light on for you, and do spread the word about our show to other folks you think would like to come on. It's conversational. I do it like a television series. It's not interview where it's pre-prepared question answer.
Sure.
And, it's not a 60 minutes drilling or anything. It's conversational, free-flowing fun. The viewers have been commenting as well and celebrating, and this will be archived on our YouTube channel for anybody that missed it. They can see it again at Jim Masters TV. Appreciate it, Carolyn, and all the time. And we'll chat again real soon, okay?
Tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. She's back tomorrow. So that's a good reminder. She'll be joining us with Tina and Larry and John and Stanley. And one more quick reminder, anybody join us late, Lucy Arnaz is with us on Friday. Keith, we thank very much for being with us here on the show. Yes, Babaloo. And thanks for being with us, Carolyn. Sure. We will we'll see you on the next episode tomorrow.
All right. Thanks again.
You have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Cheers from the East Coast. Bye-bye now. Bye. Carolyn Peterson joining us as well. She's the founder and owner of Night of Dreams, who's putting on this wonderful event, and that is the Kids of Desi Lou Studios happening at Indian Wells, which Lucy and Desi had a big role in, which is amazing. And as I mentioned, how cool was it to have a wonderful conversation with Keith Thibodeaux, Little Ricky from I Love Lucy, and Johnny Paul from the Andy Griffith Show, and also his incredible music career as a brilliant musician. He is very, very in touch with his faith and family, and very grounded in that faith-based way of living, which is very, very beautiful. Really very, very special having Keith with us here on the show. Again, he's part of television history on so many different levels, being, a star on I Love Lucy as Little Ricky. Again, one of the most beloved and iconic shows of all time. And there has not been a time since that show debuted that you have not seen his face. And of course, Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball, the creators of that iconic series. And there he is. And he's going to be performing that song, that Dixieland song at the Night of Dreams, the Kids of Desi Lou Studios, which is he hasn't done since this, what you're seeing here on the screen, that episode of I Love Lucy. And it was nice to know, that he had such a wonderful relationship working with Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, Vivian Vance, and William Frawley. And of course, that Superman episode as well, which was really very, very special. And he learned a lot. And look at this, huh? The cover of Look magazine. And just really, just even looking at these photos brings back so many incredible memories. And I know it's very special for all of you as well. And there he is with Desi Arnaz Jr. And they really do look like they could be brothers or cousins. And Lucy Arnaz, again, mentioning that she thought that Keith was part of the family. And look, there he is, too. We wanted to show this picture. There he is doing his thing on the drums. Really, really something special. And all the other things I mentioned, David and the Giants, his group, he's been with for decades. But then also this, too, which is very special, Ballet Magnificat, that his wife created, and he's on the board of directors as well. And it's a real special thing for the two of them. And there's Kathy, his lovely wife as well. And again, we showed this earlier, but this is a cool shot. There is Jerry Mathers, the Beav from Leave It to Beaver. He was a guest on our show. If you didn't see that episode, go back in the archives on our YouTube channel. Check that episode out. There's John Provost, who's with us tomorrow. He was Timmy Martin on Lassie. There is, of course, Keith's lovely wife, Kathy. This was for her birthday. There's Keith. And there is Butch Patrick from The Munsters. I know you guys have asked about Butch. We'll try our hardest to get him on the show to join us as well. If this was your first time joining us here, I'm your host, Jim Masters. An honor and a pleasure to have you with us as well. I encourage you to go back in the archives. There's almost 1,200 episodes we've done thus far and counting. with amazing guests from television, Broadway, Hollywood, child stars and musicians, singers and actors. So many people, celebrity friends and guests who stop by our series, and we have a grand time with them and a grand time with you. Give this episode a like on our YouTube channel, a thumbs up like. There's a like icon that helps us grow. Share this episode from our YouTube channel on your social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. And of course, leave a comment in the comments section. What's your favorite I Love Lucy episode or Andy Griffith episode or some of your favorite TV series? Let us know. Drop a comment in the comments section. We love hearing from you. And we thank everybody who is subscribing to the channel, liking, commenting, sharing. That means the world to us as well. So many comments that have come in here, and you'd love to see Butch Patrick. Yes, and thank you very much. So many great. If you missed anything, I know like Anita says, oh, I missed it. Didn't miss a thing. We record the shows. They're archived, so you can see it here on our YouTube channel, and you can see it archived. Maureen says, great time in Lovely Hall tonight. Thank you so much, Jim. The pleasure is all mine. And everybody, thanks for all these great comments. We really appreciate having all of you here. It means the world to us. And really fantastic. Pierre Kelly adds, no wonder the guy who played Little Ricky, he's all grown up. Yes, he is. And he has been for some time. Great guy, Keith. As well. We'll see you on the next episode. I'm your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, come see us again here on the Jim Masters Show. We'll keep the porch light on for you as well. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We love you all. Take care of one another, love one another, and don't forget to love yourself. See you on the next episode. Again, great night tomorrow, so come see us, and Carolyn will be back tomorrow as well. Cheers and be well.